There's a big problem with Pixar Cars Diecasts. And guess what? I am not going to be blaming Pixar Cars, but I'm blaming Mattel. When I started collecting cars back in 2011, I always thought that Mattel was like the company without error. I thought the accuracy on the diecast and the distribution were just super on point. Until I ended up seeing the opposite, the true side of things. So if you guys remember, not too long ago on my community tab, I asked you guys, if you were CEO of Mattel, what would be something you will fix? Then at the end, I clearly mentioned I wanted to see if people were thinking the same way I was thinking. Smokey's Garage 72 mentions an interesting point of making the packages look more exciting. So it's basically going through an upgrade, making diecasts accurate to the movie, and releasing diecasts that haven't been released yet. This comment, I understand it really well because, for example, the accuracy when it comes to a diecast, I think it means a lot. There are so many diecasts that have been made and are inaccurate to the movie, even if it's just the smallest details on that car. For example, Miguel Camino with that red spoiler and Zen Master missing his beard. Yes, there are so many others, but those were just to name a few. And the diecasts that have never been released before, it has always been a struggle and something I've always been suffering with when it came to me hunting. Now, I know making of diecasts, it does not happen overnight. It is not a super easy task. But I always used to get super upset, super frustrated when I was hyped for a diecast to release because it was all over the internet, and then you come at me saying, oh, the diecast is canceled now. We're not going to release it anymore. That would just kill my mood automatically. Other people have mentioned when making the diecast, instead of using Thailand, we go back to China. With that point, honestly, I can understand because I like China better. Another person mentioned a very specific thing, and that was just making a little bit of tweaks on the Dynaco McQueen. But then here comes my favorite part, everybody's favorite, distribution. For those several people who mentioned this, good job. You were thinking the same way I was thinking. People have been expressing their frustration of the distribution being super bad. They're not able to find anything in the stores. The hunting experience is not exciting. It has been trash these past years. Look at the comment from World Grand Prix Productions. Distribution, packaging, and promotion. Distribution has been really bad over the last couple of years. Recently, we haven't gotten anything good. We always see the cars on the road peg warmers and no new cases. The 2025 cars just got leaked, and we are still using the same package for 4 years straight since 2022, which pisses me off. Nowadays, I feel like Cars doesn't get as promoted as Hot Wheels. We don't see displays, posters, or many commercials as we used to. I could not agree more with that comment. A lot of value to the comment and a lot of truth pointers. Now, although I don't collect anymore, I'm gonna be fairly honest with you. When I walk into Walmart or even Target, I get a little bit curious and I'm like, you know what? Let me head over to the aisle that I used to run to when I was a kid. And when I get there, I see the reason why everybody is disappointed. I would go to that aisle and I would just see, let's say, one little plastic Cars toy, and the rest are just Matchboxes, Hot Wheels, Pokemons, whatever. And I like how this comment mentioned the promotion, the posters that we used to have back in the day. Those were like even collector's items, let's be real. If they were pictures of the characters from the movie, or if it was a diecast poster, you'll get that thing, you'll put it on your wall. But now you just don't see any of that, and it is kind of heartbreaking. Now let me mention something that wasn't mentioned in a comment, but I hated this in my collecting era. It would be the many repeats of diecasts that I would have to get in order to get an exclusive car. This is what I used to say. If you made Francesco Bernoulli, Shu Todoroki, and Lightning McQueen as singles, why are you forcing me to buy them again just to get an exclusive car of Mama Bernoulli, if you guys remember that package? But then a few years later, you come and tell me that she's now releasing as a single? and I wasted like $20 already just to get that one car. If Mama Bernoulli was released as a single since the start, since the beginning, I could have paid the original price of $3.47. The OGs remember that price. It's a way to make money, yes, I'll be honest, but it causes a lot of suffering. I would even be sad, sometimes mad, when my dad will say, oh, you only want one car out of all the 4 in those packages? Go fish. For example, the Rip Clutch Gonski era. Oh man, that is something I'm definitely going to remember. I will be dying to get this diecast of Rip, and I was so desperate that I was gonna order the pit stop launcher that comes with the diecast, and of course I was not gonna use that pit stop launcher in a million years. But then thankfully for my patience, which was a struggle to go through, I went to a Target one day and I ended up getting it in 2013 as a single, no pit stop launcher, and I was the happiest man alive. It literally went from a life of misery to a life of stress-free. It is an interesting evolution to see on how distribution clearly changed. It went from super easy to making vlogs, and even if you didn't find anything in your vlog, you would just get super satisfied to seeing those shelves full of cars. To nowadays, you just see empty pegs, or the pegs are stocked up, but with different types of things that are not related to the Pixar Cars franchise. So this is a problem I think Mattel should really consider fixing, especially now that the 2025 diecasts have been leaked. Well, some of them, right? It's also a massive problem for the fans, for the customers, because you're leaving your customers and your fans dissatisfied. Now, let me think of the store aspect of things. Let's say I'm working at Walmart or Target and I'm not seeing good enough sales with the Pixar Cars franchise of the diecasts. I think it does make sense for them to consider in removing those things and replacing it with something else to sell. That could be a reason, but take it with a grain of salt. I'm not no businessman. I don't know how the business works, but we can continue discussing in the comments. And yes, I'm making the comments where you can express all your frustrations out.